The first step for many new hobby astronomers is getting that first telescope. It usually comes with everything you need in order to really start with astronomy. Besides the telescope itself, you also get some sort of finder scope, maybe a diagonal mirror, and 1 or 2 eyepieces. Because everything you need is in that box, you only need to get outside and take in the awesome views of the night sky. After a while though, and if you are serious with this hobby, you start to wonder about how you can improve the views of the night sky. And typically, the eyepieces are the first items to get upgraded. In today's video, we are going to take a deeper look at the 7mm X-Cel LX eyepiece from Celestron and see if and how much better it is compared to other eyepieces like the ones telescopes usually come with, but also compared to more premium eyepieces. So let's get this review on the way. Celestron is a popular US-based company when it comes to astronomy equipment. They sell telescopes, eyepieces, and all sorts of accessories. The company was originally founded in 1955 by Tom Johnston in Torrance, California, under the company name Valor Electronics back then. And after a rather interesting history and a few ownership changes, Celestron ended up working together with Cinta Technology Corporation of Taiwan as of 2005. You may have heard about Cinta before. This is because they are the parent company and manufacturer for Skywatcher and Orion products as well. So this means that the manufacturing is done by Cinta and the items then get sold under the Celestron name across the world. Celestron is known for its Schmidt-Cassegrain lineup of telescopes, but also for its affordable eyepieces. One of the eyepiece lineups that's very popular among astronomers is the X-Cel LX series. It features eyepieces with focal lengths starting from 2.3mm and going all the way up to 25mm. Rounding up this lineup is a 2x and a 3x bellow lens. All eyepieces come with a 60-degree apparent field of view and a decent eye relief of 16mm. The optical system for every eyepiece in this lineup includes 6 fully multi-coated lenses with blackened edges for increased contrast. These all sit in a black aluminum eyepiece body with a 1.25-inch form factor. The bellow lenses have a 3-element apochromatic design with fully multi-coated optics. Today I have the 7mm X-Cel LX with me, and over the past weeks I had a chance to thoroughly test this eyepiece. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I was very interested to see where it lands when compared to, on one hand, with the standard eyepieces telescopes usually come with, and on the other hand with popular upgrade eyepieces such as the entry-level ones from TES Optics or the premium ones from Tele Vue. The price of 115 euros for the X-Cel would suggest that it's an entry-level eyepiece, and this is certainly the case. While specifications look good on paper, the reality paints a different picture. So let's start with the good. The 60-degree apparent field of view is plenty enough, since this is an eyepiece designed mainly for planetary observations. The field of view is also sharp right up to the edge. I like the adjustable eye guard that can be resized by twisting the eye cup very much. I also love the fact that the edges of the lenses are blackened. This enables bright views with high contrast and with no internal reflections whatsoever. This being a feature that usually only more expensive eyepieces have. The 16mm of eye relief is also good, especially if you aren't wearing any glasses. The 7mm X-Cel is in general a comfortable eyepiece to look through. The large diameter of 25mm for the top lens only helps with this more. Its decent weight of 187 grams gives a good feel to the eyepiece when holding it in your hand, whilst not being too heavy to compromise compatibility with smaller telescopes. Okay, so where is the catch, you might ask yourself? Well, there is one thing that this eyepiece doesn't do very well, and that is correcting for chromatic aberrations. You see, if you take an untreated single lens and shine a light at it, the different wavelengths of light, like red, green, and blue, will get refracted and come to focus in slightly different focal planes behind the lens. If you use this lens to observe planets, for example, then the object you are observing looks as if it has a bit of colored halo around the edges. This optical error is known as chromatic aberration. Usually, eyepiece and telescope manufacturers, for that matter, use different lenses with different refractive indices to force the individual wavelengths of light to focus in the same focal plane instead of multiple ones, correcting for chromatic aberrations as much as possible. In the case of the 7mm X-Cel eyepiece that I have with me today, the amount of chromatic aberrations visible is enough to sometimes spoil the whole viewing experience. It's particularly noticeable when observing very bright objects like the Moon and Jupiter. Don't get me wrong, there is always going to be some chromatic aberrations in any eyepiece regarding of the price point, even the premium ones, but this effect is barely visible there. I've tested the X-Cel both with my 12-inch Pro Dub and with my 4-inch Mac with no real changes to the relative amount of chromatic aberrations visible. So in my opinion, and after my tests, when it comes to chromatic aberrations, the 7mm X-Cel LX is not much better than the standard eyepieces telescopes usually come with. But how does it fare in other disciplines like brightness, contrast, and viewing experience when compared to other eyepieces? Well, comparing the 7mm X-Cel to the 6mm UVA from TS Optics, I could see a small bump in brightness and contrast when using the X-Cel. Another advantage it has over the UVA from TS Optics is a view without any distracting internal reflections. Thanks to the slightly longer eye relief and the adjustable eye guard, the viewing experience with the 7mm X-Cel is also more comfortable. However, even though the X-Cel is the better eyepiece here, it also costs almost twice as much. So you need to keep this in mind when comparing these two. Although the X-Cel fared pretty well against the UVA, when comparing it to a premium eyepiece like the 9mm DeLite from Tele Vue, it doesn't really stand a chance. Both in terms of optics and build quality, the X-Cel is inferior. The one thing going for it in this comparison is the adjustable eye guard with the twist-in system, which I personally prefer to the solution employed by Tele Vue. To be fair, I also need to mention at this point that the DeLite costs almost 3 times as much as the X-Cel. And this brings me to the conclusion. On paper, the 7mm X-Cel from Celestron looks like a decent upgrade over the standard bundled eyepieces. However, the reality is a bit different. I struggle to recommend this eyepiece to anyone who looks for an upgrade. Yes, its build quality is good, and yes, the views are sharper, brighter, and with better contrast than with those bundled eyepieces. But so are the views through the UVA from TS Optics. And that eyepiece only costs half as much as the X-Cel. If chromatic aberrations don't bother you as much, then by all means, try out the X-Cel. In every other category, it's a decent eyepiece. However, if you have access to the UVA lineup from TS Optics or the Chronos lineup from Omegon, then maybe give those a try as well. Before we wrap up this review, I would also like to give you guys a better understanding of what different objects in the night sky look like when observed with the X-Cel. So I've set up some views using Stellarium. Please keep in mind that these are simulated views and not actual views of the night sky. This is only to give you a general idea of what the field of view is like. Alright, that's been it for this review. Now I'm curious, what do you look for in an eyepiece when thinking about an upgrade? Is it sharper, brighter views or a comfortable viewing experience? Also, what are complete deal breakers for you when it comes to eyepieces? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have an idea of which eyepiece or accessory I should review next, let me know and I see if I can get my hands on it and review it. I look forward to your suggestions. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have questions or feedback, then please leave a comment below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching and catch you guys next time.